Welcome in, everybody. It's another episode of the Inspired Show with Joe Cohen. I'm so excited to have my guest today. As you guys all know, I'm out here to inspire you to perform at their highest level. I'm super excited to have my guest here today, Kayla Lussier. She's an amazing entrepreneur. She's a nurse, and she has so much experience and knowledge in the Subject to community. That's actually where we met. And I'm super excited to share all of her knowledge and her story today on this amazing episode. Welcome in, Kayla.
Thank you so much.
Oh,
Excited
man.
to be here.
So we met at a Venice Beach meetup in with Pace Morby, and just connected and started following each other on the socials and started seeing each other's content. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself and what got you into real estate investment and the Subject to community.
Yeah, last year, so I kind of feel like I cheated the system a little bit, but last year I got an inheritance, a small one. And just the small amount was enough to be like, I have a lot of possibility that I never thought I was going to have.
Mm-hmm.
And at the time I was burning out hard. So I'm a nurse practitioner. And, you have to see patients every 15 minutes. You have to build rapport, figure out their problem, teach them about it, and then prescribe medication, and then make sure they understand it all in 15 minutes. Oh, and chart it. So I was just burning out, and I needed a change. And so this timing was really perfect. And I was like, I'm just going to jump ship. I got really fired up about real estate because while I was burned out, I saw this little Instagram ad from a mentor. And the mentor was saying, for $17, I'm going to give you a master class. And I was like, well,
what can you,
can't lose with that.
What
And
can you lose there?
So I attended it and I got so fired up. And I was like, this is it. I should have been doing this years ago. So I jumped into a mentorship, and within a couple months, I was like, oh, I want to do this full time. This is so fun. So, as I was burning out, I was like, well, I'm going to go full time. And I put in a 90-day notice, and boop, off into the world of real estate I went. Kind of crazy.
Yeah.
I'm not an impulsive person at all.
Okay.
Very, very impulsive move for me.
Yeah.
And so I did it. And I quickly realized this is a hard industry. This is not just giving up a career and picking up a side hustle. This is a career.
Right.
And so I had to hustle fast and figure out a plan, because I kind of just thought I'm just gonna buy houses discounted and just turn them into rentals. Well, this market that's really a hard thing to do, is just to cash flow right off of the MLS.
Yeah. Especially in California.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. And so then I realized the mentorship I was in was just not getting me to, it was teaching 2018 tactics in 2022.
Okay.
We know that the market is not what it was 5 years ago.
Right.
So I found
very wise. Immediately you recognized it.
Yeah. And that's, I would caution anyone watching this, when you join a mentorship, make sure that you've maybe talk to 3 different people who are in that mentorship and get their opinion before jumping in, because I didn't do that. And I searched, is this a scam?
Oh,
and there were people who were like, no, it's a really good mentorship. So I was like, sure.
Yeah.
So anyway, so I jumped in and realized this is not getting me anywhere, this mentorship.
Yeah.
And so
so tell me what that was like to lead you to that recognition. So you their process, their systems, they were telling you to get into a bunch of things, right? Throw a bunch of lines in the water, so to speak, and spend more money, right? So what was that like?
Yeah, that's a great question. Why wasn't it effective? I think it was teaching the BRRRR method, when the BRRRR method is BRRR, right? So just for any newbies here, it's buy, rent, or rehab, rent, refinance, repeat.
Right.
And so this is a great way of investors coming in, buying a cheap building or property, fixing it up, and then refinancing it to pull out the equity and you get your money back. So the BRRRR method, in a perfect world. And I think in 2015 through 2018, 19, even 2020 maybe, that was working really well for people. But by the time I got to the scene, you can't, in many markets, that's a near impossible ask because it's a seller's market, right? And so So where I had to pivot is like, okay, I got to get creative here because just giving a lowball offer to a seller is not working. Sellers know that they don't have to accept that.
Mm-hmm.
So, that's where I started doing more research. Like, there's got to be a better way to do this because me, like, reaching out to agents on the MLS, which is still a valid way to like find properties,
Absolutely.
very much. For me, it just wasn't materializing. I didn't have the right mindset either. Yeah, I didn't really understand
Or
the
even
power.
the right scripting, maybe.
Yes,
Yeah.
totally. And so I just didn't feel like I had enough tools to really succeed. And so I like did my own research, right? My own YouTube research, which we all do.
Yep.
And
Go down the rabbit hole, we like to call it.
Oh my gosh. And so I found Pace Morby. And Pace, I think a lot of people kind of like get it. Like when they hear him talk, they're like, this guy knows stuff.
Yep.
And I was just like,
makes it sound so easy too.
Too easy. They all do. All the gurus do that.
Yeah.
So I was like, this guy knows his stuff. I'm going to follow him next. So jumped ship from one mentorship to another. And
did you go full into Pace's mentorship?
Yes.
Right from that?
Yes.
Okay.
I like wrote my mentorship and I was like, this, you gotta like give me a little credit back because this is not what you guys said it was going to be.
Okay.
So that was really nice.
I didn't even know that was an option.
See, gotta ask.
Look
right?
at that.
The worst thing that they could say is no.
Keyword: if you don't ask, you don't get.
Amen. Amen. That was like the biggest thing my dad taught me is like, doesn't hurt to ask.
Yeah.
So, so I joined Pace in January of this year, and it was life changing. Like, and I try to be like a really moderate person, not be like crazy, but like I really believe like this changed my life for the good in so many ways because when you join the mentorship, and I wish he was giving them money for this, but he's not. This is just a free commercial for him. When you join, your world opens up because there are people who are like-minded who are like, I want more out of life. And they all bring certain skills and knowledge to the table. And they also are there to learn too. So I met so many people who are just doing such interesting ways of investing, real estate or not.
Yeah.
They're just people who are like, I want to make more money.
Yeah.
This is one avenue. And so when you talk to them, you learn like, I didn't even know that was possible. This is a thing.
Yeah.
Like people are just doing amazing things. And so it's been really, really fun. And so basically I've been in for almost a year now, and my niche that I started with was lending, actually, like doing private money loans. And so I've been doing that for a year, and I've learned a lot. And so now I'm kind of like, I'm ready for the next thing.
Yeah.
Like you want to get a skill down.
Yep.
And you want to be really good at it. Yeah.
Yep.
And then you want to grow.
Yeah.
And that's where I'm at that stage of like, okay, I'm ready to do more buy and holds. I'm ready to do more wholesaling.
There you go. And you built up your portfolio, so to speak, of loans that you had out there. You received profit. You kind of stacked on top of that, put some more loans out there. And I'm pretty sure you're still lending, right?
Yep. Totally.
That's never going to end.
Right.
But now you know the process. You've probably encountered some hurdles that you've had to overcome, right?
Yes.
So
all for the best.
Yeah, it's all a lesson, right? I always try to tell the audience that failure is learning, right?
Yes.
And
it's necessary.
The only reason we know the word failure is because we learned it in school, right? So fail forward is what I like to say,
I love that.
right?
Yes.
So I think that's important for anybody coming into this game, is just understanding that you're never going to get it right the first time. You're always going to, have your hiccups, but the key is to jump in, right?
Totally.
You have to take action.
Absolutely.
Right? And that's what you did, right? And so I heard the burnout, right? You're just kind of like in a perpetual circle, right? Going into your job every day. You're, not really finding value. I'm sure you got into nursing because you felt like you had a purpose, right?
Totally. Yeah.
And so explain to me how the transition from nurse to investor went, and what was the mindset behind that, right? How could you use that ability to care to now bring it into your new role of being a full-time investor?
Yes. I would say that is a big hurdle that people need to overcome when they are interested in real estate. I think we just have this like assumption like, oh, well, that's for people who like grew up in the industry, like their dad was doing or their mom was doing, or like they just knew the right people, or like they were just given like a ton of money and
Mm-hmm.
whatever. You know, we kind of have these ideas. And I know, I mean, I got this small inheritance. I recognize the privilege I had walking into this, but anyone, I shouldn't say anyone, most people can jump right into real estate.
Yep.
And it's going to look different to everyone.
Yep.
But you have skills in your job that will translate into real estate.
Right.
Really, like being a nurse practitioner, you have to be a really good listener. You have to be fast. You have to solve problems really quickly. Like I said, you have a 15-minute clock.
Mm-hmm.
And isn't that almost any industry,
Pretty
right? I
much.
mean, aren't we paid to solve problems? Most of us are.
Yeah.
So that is going to be a huge benefit moving into real estate. And I think that, I think that just seeing yourself as like, why not me? Okay, so I didn't get a degree in finance. I'm not a realtor. Okay, but do you have so many other skills? Of course.
Yeah.
Do you, I think that's a big thing to discover about yourself as you're entering real estate is like, what's my strength? What do I love doing? And what in real estate matches that?
Yeah.
Some people aren't people.
Exactly.
And so you don't have
They're
to
never
be.
going to make a phone call in their life.
Yeah, totally. Yeah, and I wouldn't like want someone to like turn themselves into something they're not.
Yeah.
I mean, we all have to grow and we have to realize that this industry is a relational business, right? Like you do need to put a smile on and like be kind to people, but that doesn't mean you have to be a cold caller.
Yeah.
You could be an integrator.
Right.
And there was this book. Have you read Rocket Fuel?
I haven't, but I heard about it and it's
Yeah.
on my list.
Yeah.
And it's probably talking about like being a visionary versus an
Exactly.
integrator,
Yes.
and identifying your style.
Right. Yep. So that book, you nailed it. It's really about like what makes businesses successful. It's when you pair an integrator with a visionary.
Yeah.
And just for people who are unfamiliar with those terms, a visionary is that person who just has like a million ideas a minute.
Yep.
They're almost like, the book says they're almost like hypomanic. Like they're just like dreamers and schemers, but they need someone to balance them out. And that's the integrator, the one who runs the numbers, the one who will poo-poo a lot of ideas because it just doesn't work with the business plan. And so where I was going with this is you have a skill already within you. You just have to go, where are my strengths? And then find that in the real estate. So you might be I'm an integrator. You might be an integrator where you're going to be running numbers and your friend, your teammate is going to be cold calling or is going to be networking the heck out of their day so they can bring in leads and whatever.
Exactly.
So, so I think anyone, like, you don't have to be like me where it's like, yeah, I totally had like a step up or like that privilege of like walking in with a little padding,
Mm-hmm.
To leave my job. But like, you don't need that.
Sure.
There's so many people who are in this mentorship. I would say the over 90%, if not 95%, don't have what I had.
They don't have credit. They don't have,
yes.
savings, things like that.
Totally.
Although, there is something we said about if you are going to make that jump from your, wage earning job to at least have at least 6 months of your, monthly output in the bank, just so that way you're not stressing out,
Totally.
right?
Absolutely. You want to be smart.
Obviously, there's ways to make money quickly in this industry.
Absolutely.
Gator lending is one of those, right? You can, go if you have $10,000 sitting in the bank. I kind of had one of those posts about it.
Yeah.
You go out and you lend that to somebody who needs an EMD or earnest money deposit, right?
Absolutely.
So there is ways for you to start making money quickly, but you have to have some, little bit of padding.
Absolutely.
You don't necessarily, need equity in your house or a lot of credit cards or anything of that nature, but you start off little steps.
Yeah, absolutely. That's exactly is like little steps. Like the more you learn, then take action on that little bit amount that you learned, and then watch what other opportunities open up, and then take another little leap.
I love that. Well, that's awesome. So now you've transitioned full time into real estate, right?
Yeah.
You've gone through the ups and downs of, learning your first lending situation. Tell me about an experience that you had where it didn't go as planned.
Yes. One of my very first, like you said, you're going to get it wrong. I did. It was my second loan I ever did. So hungry for a deal. So hungry.
Everybody gets that way, especially they've already put money out into a mentorship,
gosh,
multiple
yes.
mentorships, and they're trying to get some ROI.
Right.
right?
Absolutely. Yeah. And a lot of people feel like that crunch of like, I'm not making enough money. Like, I need money now.
Mm-hmm.
And so I lent to a borrower who needed earnest money deposit he was going to do a buy and hold. And the way he was going to pay me back was he was refinancing one of his properties and it was already like in escrow. So it was kind of like just waiting for the cash out to happen. And so I was like, that sounds good. Let's put a lien on your refinance property.
Mm-hmm.
And so when it cashes out, you pay me. So, it was a really big EMD because it was up in the Hollywood Hills. This is a big deal.
Yeah.
And so, so I sent the money through a broker because the brokers who found me, and this is like, there's so many red flags. And we can kind of walk through like what went wrong and like ways to lend safely. So basically, instead of me meeting the borrower, it was all brokered through a mortgage broker.
Okay.
Because he posted on a Facebook group, hey, I need EMD. Are there any Gator lenders? And so that's how I met him. So first red flag is like, I never even met the borrower. That's a problem.
Yeah.
Like that might not be a problem for a lot of other people, but for me, I want to get the vibes, like
Sure.
I want to know if I feel a little weird about someone.
Mm-hmm.
And I didn't get that opportunity. And so, anyway, I wired money, to the escrow company. And, what the problem was is I didn't have the title company put the lien on. What we did is the broker wrote up a deed of trust and then, the borrower had it notarized at like a UPS store.
Got it.
And I was thinking, and Pace Morby teaches this, always lend money through a title company.
Right.
But because smart little Kayla was like hungry for a deal, I was like, well, I'm like securing my money on a property.
Yeah.
Why do I need the title company if we can just hurry up and get this notarized at a UPS store?
Sure.
So that's what happened. And so what unfortunately happened is the refinance did not go through.
Okay.
And we were not able to record the deed of trust. So this is putting a lien on property just for like people who are new to like lending. You want to always secure your money with collateral. And so I had this deed of trust that I was planning on recording, but the state of California wouldn't recognize it because the notary messed up.
Oh, got it.
So they didn't put one little stamp on there.
Yeah.
And that one stamp is what kept me from securing my money.
Yeah.
Turns out this guy's a scammer. He's done it before. He's done it after me. I actually have connected with another victim. And I'm actually in a lawsuit right now because when I, contacted the broker and was like, hey, like I couldn't record this deed of trust. Can you have the borrower go back and re-notarize it? He's off in Mexico, flying to different places. Yeah. Couldn't find the time to
get it done. Yeah.
Yeah. So it was like, I bet he was so excited when he heard that. Like, perfect. I'm free. Yeah. So here I am, like with this unsecured loan. I still have the deed of trust and at my house. Yeah. So anyway, looking back, I messed up in a couple ways. Didn't meet the borrower. Right. Didn't do this through a title company. And I didn't check the property, like the collateral. I didn't do a title search. So what if he had 10 liens on there?
Sure. Yeah. You could have easily run into tax liens. You could have run into any type of situation. So especially if it's in a tax lien situation, somebody else can come in and swoop the opportunity as well.
Totally.
Right.
Yeah. I mean, so it just goes to show like some people think like, oh, I have collateral. Mm-hmm. Well, your collateral only works if there's equity in it. Yep. Right. So, so I know these are basic things, but when you're a new lender or you want to start making great money on lending, like these are the things that need to be looked at. And no one really teaches you that. There's not, I mean, as far as I know, there's not like some like private money loan academy, like it's just kind of like the Wild West. Yeah. So that's why I have my Instagram account. It's like, I want to help people not get screwed like I did. I want people to lend safely. Yeah. And I want people to make more money. I'm not scared of it anymore. Like I still lend.
Sure.
But
you learned a valuable lesson, you adjusted, and then you kept going. Yeah. Right. And that's important because most people in those situations with that big of a loss would fold up shop right away. And then they would have a bad opinion about it. They would be the naysayer, like, don't ever do that. What are you talking about? Right. But you kept moving forward. And I mean, it's not like you don't have responsibilities, right? I mean, you have a family,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And so,
Yeah. Little kids, like bills to pay. So it's like, yes, you could fold up and never go anywhere, I mean, or go back to work.
sure.
But I think for me, that would have been a smaller life, and I
Yeah,
want so much more. So yeah, you have to keep
it's
going.
amazing. Love that. We're gonna cut that right there. You know, that's just so perfect right there. So now you're gotten a couple deals done, and I think what we primarily connected because I was looking for some money, right? And I
Mm,
always get deals, and
yeah.
now I'm at the point in my career where people are just say, "Hey, I have this opportunity," and I'm like, "Okay,
Hmm.
let me connect you with this person," or I might take
Yes.
the deal myself, right? And
Yeah.
so I'm a big connector.
Hmm.
I'm all about the collaboration
Yes.
because that way we can all grow together and experience this together. And so we're in a we're in a situation where you and I are trying to get a loan done together, and then you're like, "Hey, I'm moving into doing more buy and holds, and here's an
Yes.
area where I can see myself doing business." And then I'm
Hmm.
like, "Hey, let's bring this in." So um, now you're full fledged, right? You're doing deals, you're
Hmm.
looking at buying and holding.
Yeah.
How has that impacted your family life?
Mm. I'm not gonna say it's been easy. However, so I work just as many hours as I did. I was working like 40 to 55-hour weeks as an NP,
Mm-hmm.
still doing it. But the difference is I love it so much. Like I love what I'm doing now so much. And if when I walk my kids to school and when I pick them up, like I can be present and connected to them. Whereas before I couldn't pick them up, I couldn't drop them off. We had a nanny, and
Yeah.
so I wish I could be like, oh yeah, I've got time freedom. I'm not there yet. I don't know if anyone in their first year of real estate really gets there.
Mm-hmm.
Outliers do for sure.
Yeah.
But for the most of us, it is a grind
Yeah.
for 1 to 3 years, and then you're comfortable from there on out. That's the
Right.
plan,
Right.
right? And I would say some 3 years is not enough for a lot of people either, right? I mean,
Mm-hmm.
it's a continual growth.
Yep.
So my family life is good in the sense that I have control over when I see them before my W-2 told me when I could see my kids.
Exactly. That's so freeing,
It's
right?
amazing.
It's truly a freeing experience, and I think that that's very powerful, right? There's a couple of things that I'm hearing in just your story, just the how much grit and power that you have, right?
Thank you.
Most people are a little bit intimidated by being an entrepreneur. They tell that their self talk is that I
I'm
can
not anything enough.
yeah, I can't do this. You know what I
Yeah.
mean? And you went from having an amazing career, which, still is an opportunity for you to bless people with that knowledge as well,
Totally.
right?
Yeah.
Could be something fruitful for you down the
I
line.
agree.
But I think that that's also a part of the entrepreneurial spirit is you're learning something new right now and you're fully investing yourself in that. But down the line, it could turn into something that is even bigger
I
on a larger
agree.
scale with your
Totally.
medical knowledge and you know uh, I'm pretty sure you're somewhat holistic and
Right, I am.
have all of those types of plans. So
Hmm.
the sky's the limit for you, Kayla.
Thank you.
Right?
I agree. I think that that's what's so cool about real estate is like it opens your world so that you have so many more choices.
Yeah.
So it's like you're right. Like I could go back to being an NP, but this time because I know what I know in real estate, I know I'm learning how to buy businesses. Like I'm learning how to invest really smartly.
It's amazing.
And thank you. And so now I can pull that info about running a business back into being an NP. And so instead of relying on someone to employ me, why not come back and make an amazing, health business, health
Yeah.
coaching, or, holistic medicine in a way that will make me more money, but also still like give to the world the way that I meant to always
It's
when I
awesome.
joined, like when I
Awesome.
became an NP.
That's amazing. So, Kayla, you mentioned your Instagram and what you're doing on your Instagram, which
Mm-hmm.
I really love what you're doing.
Thank you.
That's I think we connect very well in that form, educational forward, making sure people are hearing a message versus just my life is great, right?
Right.
Which is fine.
So
There's something
many
to be said about that,
influencers.
right?
Yeah.
Where can people find you?
Yeah, it's your dot rei dot funder. So I really started my account because I was a Gator lender. I wanted to do a lot of PML. So it was all like very much like investing, like, hey, come to me, I'll loan to you. But now it's more of like, I want to teach people how to be lenders. Like I want people to make more money. And
Amazing.
so it's really just about like, are you new? Don't know where to start. Here's some info, just things to think about, right? Because like ideas change the world.
Yeah.
So if I can just sprinkle some ideas into people's lives, I want it to help. Hopefully it's helpful.
That's awesome.
Like what you're doing. Like it's just this, sharing inspiration. I love it.
Yes,
It's so
that's the
cool.
goal, right? So, well, I appreciate you coming on and co-hosting with me today.
Thank you
I
so
love your
much.
story,
Thank you.
and I hope that the people out there that are watching kind of gain some inspiration from your story. I think it's, don't be afraid to try something, and
Yes.
you don't necessarily have to jump in, but there's value in jumping in, right?
Yeah.
And I think that's kind of your message, right?
Yeah. And well, I like what you said too, is like it's a one step at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And we can be brave for a little bit and do something outside of our comfort zone, and then that comfort zone expands,
Yeah,
right? So, and like what you're
great
doing is
advice.
huge, and like I bet that seemed crazy 2 years ago to you.
It was nuts.
Yeah. And look where we are.
Yeah, here we
It's so
are, right?
cool.
Awesome. Well, thanks for coming in and joining me today. For those of you who enjoyed this episode, please subscribe on our YouTube page at The Inspired Show. And you can also find me at Joe Cohen Inspires on all the social media platforms. We appreciate you guys watching.